Alright, so this video will be about the TKT CLIL test. So we're going to cover things such as what is the test about, who is the test for. So if you really want to understand what the TKT CLIL test is all about, stick with us. Let's move on. So what do we need to know about the TKT CLIL test? Well, first of all, TKT stands for Teaching Knowledge Test. There's a series of tests put together by Cambridge which are about teachers' knowledge or teaching knowledge. And the CLIL module is one of these tests. So for those teachers who are teaching in settings where students are learning two languages or learning content in two languages, then they take the CLIL test. So who is the CLIL test for, or the TKT CLIL test for? Well, for two groups of teachers in general. The first group is content teachers, a subject teacher who needs to teach his or her content in English or through English, in a bilingual school, for example, or in a school that has a CLIL program. Or English teachers who need to dedicate some of their teaching to content areas. For example, an English teacher who needs to teach science or math in his or her class. So that's also a teacher who would benefit from preparing and holding a CLIL certification. And as I just said, if you take and pass the CLIL test, you do get a certification by Cambridge English. And mostly, the CLIL test is taken by primary or secondary teachers. That is not to say that other teachers should not take the CLIL test. No, they can, and sometimes they can benefit from it. But CLIL is not as often seen in universities or in higher education as it is in primary or secondary education. Usually when you talk about higher ed, people use another approach called EMI, English as a Medium of Instruction. EMI is not exclusive to higher education, nor is CLIL exclusive for primary or secondary education. But that's how things have developed. So this is how they turned out to be, and this is what we're going to see. The TKT CLIL test has one module with 80 questions, and it's not a test of English. So both native and non-native users of English can use the test and can benefit from it. Let me go a little bit above here so you can see what's written. So it's both for native and non-native users of English. So moving on, let's talk about the topics that are covered by the CLIL test. So the first topic is knowledge and principles of CLIL. Second topic is lesson preparation. The third topic is lesson delivery, and then we have assessment. So how is the test divided when it comes to these four topics? Well, the first topic contains 4 tasks, and so does the second. Each one will have about 25 questions. Third and fourth topics, they have 3 and 2 tasks accordingly, and 20 and 10 questions respectively. So that's how the CLIL test is formatted. And the tasks include matching and multiple choice exercises. Yes, you heard me. There's no open-ended questions, just matching and multiple choice. Let's see an example of a question, of a CLIL question. So here you have the first task from a sample test. For questions 1 through 7, match the classroom activities, which you will see here on the second screenshot, with the main aims of CLIL listed A through D. So on the first picture, which is slightly above, you see the 4 aims of CLIL, A, B, C, and D. Focus on content, develop communication skills, develop cognitive skills, and raise awareness of citizenship. And then you're going to go to the second picture, the one that is slightly below, and there's 7 questions. Each one of those numbers is a question, so you're going to match the activities listed right in front of the number with the main aims of CLIL. So the candidate would, for example, read learners discuss in groups how they set up their science experiment or experiments, and then would decide, is this an example of focus on content vocabulary? develop communication skills, develop cognitive skills, raise awareness of citizenship. So you would have to discuss which one of those aims corresponds to question number 1, and so forth. Of course, we're going to get back to these questions and answer each one of them and discuss the question in an appropriate video. But this video is just to give an overview of what's going to be on the test. So moving on here, the first area or section of CLIL, of the CLIL test, is knowledge and principles of CLIL. And that covers aims and rationale for CLIL, language across the curriculum, communication skills, cognitive skills, and learning skills across the curriculum. Across the curriculum means in all subjects, right? Not just in English, but in all subjects. So how do you teach language with math? And how do you teach language with science? How do you teach science with language? How do you teach math with language? And vice versa. And so some of the topics that could be included on the test, or they could have questions formatted around. BICS and CALP, which refer to conversational and academic English, respectively. We'll make a video about that when we tackle those questions in the future. Language features and structures, higher order and lower order thinking skills, referring to Bloom's taxonomy. We're also going to talk about that later on. And practical language skills that the students need to navigate the subjects, or each subject. Because subjects may require different language skills, right, depending on what the tasks are. The other area is lesson planning. So planning of lessons, or a series of them, the language demands of a particular subject and tasks, multimedia and visual resources, graphic organizers, material selection, how to select materials for teaching math through English, right? And how do we choose activity types, and what are the activities for? So this will include learning outcomes, differentiation, learner integration. So you could see questions on any of these topics, genres or types of texts with a certain subject. For example, you have short text for math and math problems, but you may have longer texts for science. So there's different types and correspond to different genres. Visual organizers, ICT or technology in CLIL, and how to adapt materials from different subjects for CLIL. In terms of lesson delivery, the test covers classroom language, scaffolding content and language, how to transform or break something complex into more meaningful and understandable units. That's what we mean by scaffolding. Providing support to students as they access something that is more complex. Methods to help learners develop learning strategies, and consolidating learning and differentiation. So what types of questions can we see? How to use questions to scaffold knowledge, how to encourage student talking time and lower teacher talking time, breaking down tasks that relates to scaffolding, developing learning skills also relates to scaffolding and students being more independent also, learning strategies right there, and providing more challenge to students who feel bored or less challenge to students who feel overwhelmed. And assessment, last but not least, the focus of the different types of assessment, the types of assessment, and how to support students during assessment. So this will include assessment of content and of language, different types of assessment using can-do statements. Those are statements that help students reflect on how they're learning and using strategies to support student learning. So those are the 4 areas and some examples of topics that may have questions related to them. And just to finish here, before we finish, let's make some suggestions of useful materials that you can use and read along these videos that we're going to prepare to help you actually prepare for the test. So Essential Teacher Knowledge is a very good book for CLIL teachers who teach in bilingual settings, bilingual schools, or bilingual programs. And this book has a section on CLIL, but pretty much every section contains something related directly to CLIL. A very good book. This is one of the main CLIL books, CLIL content and language integrated learning. If you want a more theoretical, more background heavy book about CLIL, this is the one I would suggest. If you want to prepare for the test exclusively, I would definitely suggest this book. It's a very good book. And you can go to Cambridge English and download this handbook for teachers. It's available for free online. You just go to, you just type TKT CLIL Handbook for Teachers, and you will see it. And it will help you know exactly what's in the test. And we used a lot of the information from this handbook to put together the slides that you see. You will recognize a lot of it in the handbook. So thank you very much, and I hope this has been helpful. See you in the next video.